Thank you, everybody. And Tom, Star Scholars, the entire team, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this amazing project. And also warmest congratulations to all of my colleagues. I'm so excited to be here with you, to hear your thoughts, to engage and learn from you. By way of introduction, Sora Friedman. I am a professor of international and global education at SIT Graduate Institute. Our primary campus and administrative offices are based in Brattleboro, Vermont. However, our learning happens all over the globe. And I know we have several people calling in from Nepal. I was talking with a colleague in Kathmandu this morning. I have a group of graduate students at Yantra House at the SIT Center there this semester. So Nepal is very much a part of my life right now. I am based in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, just down the road from Morgan in Baltimore. I grew up 10 minutes from the Morgan campus, and I'm so happy to be here. My work involves serving as chair of 2 master's programs. I teach, I advise master's and doctoral students in international and global education. My current research and practice areas of interest are really always around supporting rising professionals in the field. And Tom, so many of the questions that you just posed are things I am talking about constantly with my students. I was writing about advocacy just this morning as well. I also have a deep interest in supporting women leaders in the field because research shows that women leaders have not achieved the same levels of success as men leaders. There's a lot of work to do there. And I'm very honored to be writing a column bi-monthly now for Global Ed, which is an online space dedicated to the democratization of our field by having a lot of open access materials. It's called Practicing International Education. So I really launched into the question, what's different today than when I started? February was my 40th anniversary working in the field. And I've been thinking about how different the milieu is from when I studied abroad in the early 1980s and started working in 1984. At that time, it was impossible to earn a master's degree in international education. You could only earn something in a related field, area or language studies, political science, international relations. And this is really important now. There are 15, 20, even more master's degrees in international education and a growing number of doctorates as well. And that's a real reflection of the professionalization of our field. The skills and theory that I studied some 40 years ago were largely around intercultural training as well, especially with high school exchange programs, study abroad for me from the United States, since that's where I studied, going out into the world, and more corporate settings. So then I think, what does this mean for us today? Well, I'm always sharing with my students that they need to have a variety of knowledge and skills, strong theoretical groundings, and then, of course, in our field and at SIT, we talk about practical application, advocacy, management, professional writing, flexibility, compliance, health, safety, security, crisis management. It's all a big bubble together. Attention to detail, and again, especially because research shows it continues to be an issue, self-confidence of women who are working in the field. I think that the biggest challenge is also the biggest constant, and that is that change is pervasive. The only way we are going to stay current is to keep up with change, to embrace it, to process it, to learn from it. And as I've reached my 4th decade in the field, I am constantly reminding myself of this. And it gets harder the older I get, I must admit. We have got to keep moving forward in inclusive and fair ways. So one example of change, and Michael Smithy and I were emailing about this. Michael, thank you so much for your comment. It was around the use of technology and how it relates to the degree to which today's students are not allowed to disconnect from home and be in their home culture, just to be and have a life there. So I studied abroad in 1982-83, my junior year in Bogota, Colombia. I spent 10 months there. There was no expectation of contact with my family beyond letters, which took 10 days to 2 weeks to arrive. Over the course of that 10 months, I spoke to my family twice for 5 minutes each, and I'm incredibly close with them. Um, I knew they'd find me in case of emergency, but that year I was in Colombia, focused on being in Bogota. I lived with a Colombian family. All of my classes, other than Spanish language grammar, were with Colombian students in Colombian universities. I sang in a Colombian choir. Most of my friends were Colombian. When I started teaching at SIT, we could still teach our graduate students then to encourage their future participants to leave technology behind. But today, I think about how students would react if they knew that they could not speak with their families and friends for months at a time once they left home. How would their parents react? Would they even agree? Students and families and parents, would they even agree to such an experience? The ability to connect easily and cheaply with loved ones is so pervasive, and it frightens me because it denies the opportunity to completely immerse oneself in a new culture and community. Even Peace Corps volunteers connect with home today in ways that were unheard of 20 or 30 years ago. So, what does this mean for IE professionals? Our job to encourage deep and meaningful engagement across difference is so much harder now to facilitate. That challenge has shifted from how to keep students off of their devices to how to promote learning in spite of or even through students' devices, which still presents its own challenges. So one more thing to consider are the changes in the field, which are so many, but also successes. I think about these a lot as well. The field has professionalized, as I talked about, peer-reviewed research that informs our practice, so many opportunities for training and professional development, an incredibly large global network like we're seeing today. There's still so much work to do, but now we are also actively questioning assumptions that were held for decades, especially in the United States. We work consciously to bridge divides across identities, not just around race, gender, and socioeconomics, but also around family status, student status, physical and intellectual abilities. Today, we are assuming, we should be assuming, that anyone can have an experience abroad and can learn across difference. It is incumbent upon us as IE professionals to figure out how to make it happen. So I'll leave with one last thought. It is corny, I think, but we are one world, 200 nations, thousands of cultures. The need for people to be able to live together is not going to change. It's more pervasive than ever. So it's more incumbent upon us as professionals, as teachers, scholars, and practitioners to always keep in mind why we do what we do, to cherish and grow the joy that we feel when learning and self-awareness happen, when connection happens. And we need to support those in the future who will consider our lived experiences as their histories. Doing so will help them to find their niches, to make their impacts, and to contribute to global peace and understanding. So with this call for us to always look forward, I thank you, and I look forward to hearing from my colleagues. Thank you so much.